Greetings, barbecue family. Welcome to another live episode of the Backyard SmokeMaster BBQ Podcast. I'm your host, Kenyatta Robinson. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to get into talking about how to barbecue when you're away from home. And this is a very worthwhile skill to master. I mean, you want to be able to take your skills away from the home, maybe on some camping trips, tailgates, you go to the beach, maybe you go to on a vacation, you get a B&B or a vacation rental, etc. So lots of great ways or great places that you can take, your barbecue skills with you. It can be very portable. So we're going to get into that today, and we're going to talk about and hopefully give you all some good tips on what type of gear, grills, smokers, recipes, just some things that you should be thinking about when you're ready to go out and barbecue on the road, so to speak. Now, before we get into it, I always love to say hello to everyone who is tuning in live and active in the comments. As you know, I say it all the time. The comments and questions that you guys provide during the live stream are the engine that drives the show. So I definitely welcome you all with your comments. Let me know what type of gear, if you have a favorite grill or smoker that you like to take with you, put that in the comments. But let me say hello we got Mike Sue, we got Correctional Officer for Lockdown, Bruce, we've got JP, Jeff. Thank you all for tuning in. I always appreciate you guys jumping in early into the comments and letting me know that you are here. It really does mean a lot and does not go unnoticed. All right, so let's start to get into this. So thinking about just some main tips for travel barbecue, think about portability. We want the things that we take with us, think about the weight, the size, what type of fuel source do we need? Take that into consideration. Also, you should be thinking about, are there any local fire and smoking regulations that you need to adhere to wherever you're going? What types of meats and recipes travel well? I mean, you probably don't want to take on the types of really ambitious cuts that you might take on at home, like a brisket or a pork butt, something that's going to take a really long time. Instead, think about what can you do that is relatively quick, relatively simple, doesn't require a whole lot of fuel. Most likely, the grill or smoker that you have with you isn't going to be as large as the one that you have at home, so it's not going to have the same cooking square space capacity, won't hold as much fuel, right? Also, another thing to think about is cleanup and ash disposal. I mean, you don't want this to be, an arduous task. All of this should be relatively easy, simple to take on, especially if you're planning it in advance, right? So we're going to start off, I'm going to give you guys some grills and smokers that have been proven to travel well. So even though I've got numbers next to these, they aren't necessarily ranked in any particular order. I think most of these are they're pretty popular, fairly well known. And, I'll admit that I don't have cooking experience on all of these grills or smokers, but let's take a look at some of these. And again, let me know in the comments if you have a favorite portable grill or smoker that you rely on. So first up, we're going to talk a little bit about the Weber Smokey Joe. And so it's really well known. It'll give you that classic charcoal flavor in a compact package. When you look at the design, it's going to look and operate very similar to the iconic Weber kettle. So the Smokey Joe is perfect for small smokes. And think things like grilling burgers, hot dogs, your real kind of basic barbecue fare. A Weber Smokey Joe is going to handle that with relative ease. Okay, and let's take a look at it. So again, like I mentioned, it's pretty much just like your Weber kettle, and look at that price. $49.99, $50 gets you something that's really easy, and capable. And, if you have any experience with a Weber kettle, I think cooking on a Smokey Joe, you won't have any problems. I mean, really the main thing will just be, adjusting to the size, the size and the cooking capacity. So that's the Smokey Joe. Okay. Next up is a pretty popular one, PK grills. I mean, it's in the name. Portable kitchen is in the name. So that's pretty much their bread and butter when they first got into the market. That's what they were striving for, was to give us grills, smokers that are portable. And the PKGO in particular, which came out a number of years ago, I can't remember, maybe 4 or 5, maybe as many as 6 years ago, the PKGO hit the scene. And just like its big brother, the PK360, and the original PK grill, the PKGO is made from cast aluminum. And another trait that is pretty well known, and what PKs are known for, is that the shape of them really lend themselves to dual zone cooking. And also, just as in their reputation, they're built tough. So this is something that you shouldn't have any qualms or fears about taking out on your tailgates, or maybe taking with you at that beach barbecue. PKGO portable grill. So let's take a look at that. Now it's a little more step up in price, and I think that is fair when you're talking about the build quality, build material. So right now, you can score a PKGO for about $380. And let me see if there's anything else interesting. Yeah, and they usually do. Sometimes they have these deals. I'm not really sure. I think you may be able to easily either pick up a package, but they do have grill grates specifically sized for the PKGO. You can get that for $125, and that just adds a lot more versatility, because with the grill grates, you can really get your grill piping hot, and that will really help, not just with, your traditional fare, your dogs and burgers, but now maybe think steaks. You could really do a good job with some steaks. And as Meathead would probably say, take those grill grates and flip them over and cook them on the flat side, so that you get more of a sear over more of the surface space on your steaks. I also like this. Look, they got an aluminum compact foldable table, $50. And of course, they've got a nice carrying case, also $50. So you can get fitted pretty well with a PKGO. Now, as we go through this, guys, let me know if you have any questions. And again, the questions don't just have to be limited to what we're talking about right now. take the opportunity to ask any questions that you have that are barbecue related. Okay, so we're pretty wide open. Also, if you haven't already, take a moment to like the podcast and subscribe if you haven't already. But really, liking it helps us out in that YouTube algorithm, helps get more eyes on the podcast. Okay, also, let me take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor. Today's episode is being sponsored by none other than me, the Backyard SmokeMaster Society. So that is my barbecue membership community. Think of it as a lot like what you might find on Facebook, but not on Facebook. And we have relaunched the Backyard SmokeMaster Society, and you can get in for free. So really no reason not to sign up and come on in. And just like this community is supportive, and you don't have to do that journey of trying to learn about how to get better at barbecue on your own. We can support each other, not just during this live stream, but we can do it offline inside of the Backyard SmokeMaster Society. Just go to backyardsmokemaster.com/society and you can join in for free. So again, no reason to be hesitating. And thank you, Jeff. Jeff says Backyard SmokeMaster Society for the win. That's right, absolutely. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's see. We left off. Let's see, we were talking about, okay, of course, now I got myself thrown off here. Okay, we were talking about the PKGO. Next up, we're going to talk about the Traeger Ranger. Okay, so Traeger Ranger, now we're getting into portable pellet smoker options. And the big advantage of using a pellet grill is you've got that digital control. So, with the PKGO, the Weber Smokey Joe, you've got to be managing your charcoal. You got to have your fire management skills need to be in tip-top shape. But if you just want something really easy, something that all you have to do is dial in the temperature and then let the cooker do all the work for you, then maybe getting a portable pellet grill or pellet smoker will be the right call. So again, really easy to use, but the important thing is that you need to have some type of access to power. So that, and that could be the downside. And if you know in advance that you don't have access to power, well, then that's when, having something that's cooked using charcoal fuel is to more of an advantage. Okay, so let's take a look at the Traeger Ranger. Kind of seeing a trend here as we keep going down the list. Price comes up a little bit, and of course you can attribute that because now we're talking about electronic components, possibly some moving parts, that we're dealing with. So a little bit more advanced in the technology. So the Traeger Ranger retails for about $480, and they've also got the Tailgater pellet grill that goes for about $500. But I'm thinking if you're really looking for portability, I think the Ranger is probably the one that I would go with. And Traeger, of course, is the innovator, I believe the first major grill company to go to market with pellet grills many, many years ago. So, they're going to support it with a lot of accessories. And I see, they've got a Ranger grill cover, about $70. They've got drip tray liners. Of course, you don't have to go with their liner, but I guess the advantage is that it's already been being fit to, it's cut to size. Of course, they also have their own wood pellets, and they've got mini grease bucket liners. So, lots of options there if you're looking for the Traeger Ranger, right? All right, let's see what we have next up. So, giving you guys a lot of different styles and different types of portable cookers. So then we've also got the Ooni Karu or the Fyra. So now we're getting into the grills. I guess you think of it as a grill, or maybe I should just call it a cooker. Now we're talking about a cooker that's great for doing pizzas. They're well known for that. And then also, because they do get up to a really high temperature, these are also known as being really good for searing steaks. And depending on the model, you can get one that's either fueled by wood, charcoal, or gas, or maybe even a combination. I know that a lot of them, have at least a dual fuel option. So let me get that up on the screen. Let's take a look at the Ooni. Okay, so you can get the first generation Karu 12-inch. That goes for about $350. And, Ooni's been at it for quite a while as well, making these what they're best known as pizza cookers. And so they're well outfitted. You've got some accessories here. You got the pizza peel, a turning peel. Let's see, gas burner for the Ooni. There's also the Karu 2. Okay, so the first generation again is $350, and I'm just curious about the Karu 2. Trying to see if I can get that to come up. Let's see what we got. Okay, there it is. Well, we got the Karu 2 Pro Essentials burner. Okay, so now we're getting really serious. So we're talking $1,145, and it's a 14-inch, so a little bit larger. So I think, the first generation's probably, if I were to go portable, I think I would probably stick with that. I feel like if you're going to be investing, over $1,000, that's probably going to be something I'm gonna leave at home. Yes, that's my thought on that. Kind of curious if any of you guys have any experience with the dedicated pizza cookers as well. Would love to know. I look at them and I think about them all the time, but I still haven't gotten around to adding one of those to my arsenal. And let me see. I see a comment here from Bruce. So let me take a look at that. Hold on. Get that into the show. Okay, Bruce said, Fogue's Texas Cowboy portable open fire grills are pricey, but I like that type of open fire model. This is why I love you guys, because you guys are so hardcore and you're always coming up with something that I have never heard of. So I'm going to see if I can pull that up. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me get that. Get that back into the picture. Okay. Let's see. I wonder which one of these is Bruce talking about. Okay, folks. Cowboy. Let's see what this is. Okay, not too bad. Yeah, $600 for the cowboy. Okay. Okay, so 196 inches is the diameter. I was trying to see if there's anything quick and easy to see what the amount of cooking space is here. But yeah, I do see where they tout that the grill is made of heavy duty iron and includes one detachable wooden surface for your grilling convenience. And then you can also choose to assemble it. You can assemble the circular grill or turn it into a multifunctional clamp rack grill made in Argentina. That's interesting. All right, you guys, boy, I gotta say, like I said, you guys always have some interesting knowledge, stuff that I've never heard of. And then Jeff says, I gotta say, the pizza oven is one class of cooker that doesn't really interest me. Yeah, and I think that's probably why I haven't pulled the trigger. I'm always kind of intrigued, but then when I think about it, I kind of think that I probably would make pizzas so seldom on my grill that I'd be better served, by doing it on one of my existing, one of my barbecue grills. I've done it a few times on my PK360, and I feel like all of my cookers, I think they all probably have some type of an accessory that I could get that would allow me to do a pizza on them. So I don't know. The need to get a dedicated one hasn't really grabbed me. But again, thinking about it in portable terms, I might be a little bit more intrigued to do it or more interested to do a portable one because I do like how small they are and the fact that they do get up to a high temperature. And I would probably be more inclined to use it for things like a steak than I would necessarily for pizza. And I'm sure there's probably a bunch of other things that could also that can utilize that space as well. Okay. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Okay, we talked about the PK. We just talked about the Ooni. So next up, we've got the Nomad grill and smoker. Okay, and then this is one, and we'll pull it up in a second, but it's known, for its briefcase style. It's a briefcase style charcoal grill smoker. And whenever I see it, I think that it lends itself to, at least in my view, it lends itself more to grilling. And maybe you could do some two-zone cooking, but I notice, that they do consider themselves both a grill as well as a smoker. And I think the build material is also something that they are known for. And you see it's a little pricey. So $700. And they say uncommonly tough charcoal barbecue grill and smoker for even cooking at home or on the road. Suitcase style design. Yeah, dual die cast aluminum cook boxes. Up to 425 square inches of cooking space. Okay, so they've got, just some different colors. And then, just like everyone else, they are going to provide you with some accessories. I do like that they do have a a griddle offering that they have here. Kind of surprised that they don't have their own kind of like grill grates. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that in the future. It looks like you can get bundles for it as well, so you can probably save some money by doing a bundle to help you get some accessories. And then, yeah, so this is just like in this picture, this is kind of how I would envision using the Nomad. To me, it's more of a direct heat cooker. Kind of curious about whether or not people are really smoking with it. And, okay, I don't know about that picture. I mean, I guess they're trying to say that it's waterproof or can hold up to water. I don't know why you would have to pull your Nomad out of the water like that, but okay. Interesting to me. Again, the build quality. I haven't seen this in person yet. Okay, and they do say here smoker mode, but it's still not easily apparent to me about the smoker mode. All right, Paul says the Weber Go Anywhere with some mods from Heat Beacon Design seems like an interesting portable smoking setup. Okay, let me see if I can pull up the Weber Go Anywhere, because if I'm going on recollection, I think it has a similar shape. Yeah, so it is kind of like the Nomad and the tailgater. So it's kind of got that rectangular shape. Go anywhere charcoal grill, $90. It looks small, at least in the picture. Now here, here I can see smoking, because I see where you can do like a 2-zone setup, because it's got two exhausts up at the top. So, you could have your fuel on, say, the right side, close off your damper on the upper right, open the exhaust over here on the upper left, and you've got some indirect cooking. You could do a little bit of smoking. The only thing about that, though, here it looks like they've got like an aluminum pan on one side, fuel on the other. The only thing about this is again the size. I don't know. I look at it, it looks so small to me that I'm just thinking hot dogs and hamburgers. Maybe you could smoke a steak or a small chuck roast or something. I don't know. A little bit small, but again, we're talking portable. I got to get out of my head about size and capacity, right? Because we're talking easy to carry, pack, and store. So definitely, this is definitely portable. And it does, I think in this illustration, they're kind of showing that it can hold, I guess it can hold, or it's tall enough where you could fit a chimney worth of fuel in it. I don't know. You guys know. Do you guys have experience with the Weber Go Anywhere? I do see, hold on, let me get back into the comments here. Smiley said, the Weber Go Anywhere is great. Oh yeah, that Slow and Sear, that S&S Grills portable looks good too. Curious about how they compare. That's a good point, and let's let's take a look because we can do that. All right. SNS grills, travel kettle. Let's see. Okay, well, I'll just look at the one that's up on Amazon here. Travel kettle 2-zone. So it's a little bigger, 18 inches. I think this probably, now I kind of wonder how it compares to the Smokey Joe. I don't think the Smokey Joe is that big. So the travel kettle is 18 inches, $160. And the Weber Smokey Joe, similar shape, design. Okay, it's 14 inches, $50. Man, I think if I were to pick between these two, I think that the difference between 14 inches and 18 is pretty significant. And I'm going to go with that SNS. I mean, I know it's maybe $100 more, but I agree. I think that there's value here. And then the fact that they also have the accessories like the slow and sear and other accessories that they make, it's going to be easy to set up for 2-zone cooking. And then you can also do some direct grilling with it as well. I'm glad you brought this up because I totally forgot about the SNS grills. I think that is also a really good option. Okay. I see where Paul also mentioned, I think with regard to the Weber Go, the Weber Go Anywhere, that it's got some limited real estate for cooking. Okay, and then Smiley says, there's a dude on YouTube that regular, if I can get my words right, okay, these braces are killing me. I'm wearing braces. You know what it says. A guy that routinely smokes on the Weber Go Anywhere. He has even done beef dino ribs on it. And there are a bunch of videos. Okay. And then Paul says that SNS has the temperature gauge in the right location too. Yeah, SNS grills, they put the work in, and I do think that they make smart accessories. And I'm a little sad that I don't have one of their grills yet. But I love the slow and sear. I have it for both my Weber kettle, and then I also have the version that fits on my Summit Kamado. And sometimes I take a lot of heat on that publicly for using and talking about using the slow and sear on the Summit Kamado, because people are like, was it really necessary? The Summit Kamado already, is super efficient. Do you really need, that accessory? My answer is no. It's not a must-have, what I would consider to be a must-have accessory, but I just like using it. I like the way my cooker cooks with it. I think it makes the setup for 2-zone cooking super easy. And also if I wanted to do reverse sear steaks, I think it really lends itself to that. So kudos to SNS grills. They're making some nice products. Okay. I don't know why I keep bringing up the PKGO. Okay, that's not what I wanted to show. I wanted to show one more. This is a bonus. And this is something, I just saw this today. I was just strolling around on YouTube and this slot grill came up. And oops, I thought it was pretty cool. Let me get it up on the screen. Hold on. All right. Hopefully the audio will come through. So let me play this. All right, so yeah, that's the slot grill. I was pretty, oops, I was pretty impressed, um, with the little short video there because he pretty easily and quickly, demonstrated how to put it together and how it works. It looks pretty cool to me. Looks like on Amazon. Let's see, is that it? Hold on, let me just go direct to their website. The slot grill. Just trying to see, is it $140? Is that what it is? Oh, okay. The slot grill collapsible barbecue grill, $150. Direct on their website. Of course, they are out of stock. But yeah, I thought that looked pretty cool to me. And Jeff agrees. He says that slot grill is cool. And then getting back to the slow and sear, Jeff said the slow and sear makes two zone effortless. It also keeps the charcoal contained. Yeah. So you don't need to stoke the fire and collect the coals as the cook progresses. Yeah, it does. It does make it very effortless. Um, Again, the Summit Kamado is already super efficient. I feel like it even makes it more efficient when you're using that slow and sear um, accessory. Now let's see. Bruce says, I like rocket stove models that can be used for hot and fast cooks. So definitely a whole lot of options, a lot of options out there for portable grills, portable smokers. Smiley says the SNS is good for reverse sear on summits. Smoking with the deflector plate is great and uses the whole food great, but if you need to sear, the SNS is a good choice even on the summit. Yeah, I completely agree. So, let me just ask, do any of you guys actually have what you would consider to be a portable a portable grill or portable smoker? Now, I'm embarrassed to say, I do own a Weber Smokey Joe. I bought it at a hardware store that was a closeout. They were going out of business, so I was able to pick it up super cheap. I have not used it once. When I last went out and cooked away from home, I actually opted for my PK360. So I kind of feel I kind of throw my PK360, and right now is out of all my grills and smokers, it's pretty much my preferred choice for portable, because it's collapsible. Like, you can take it off of the pedal stand that it sits on, and that makes it much more portable. And you can also take off the two big side tables. One of my frustrations with the PK360 when I got it home and set up is that the footprint, especially with those with the side tables that it takes, is huge. It takes up it's got a pretty big footprint. But if you take those side tables off, then it becomes much more portable. And I do like the versatility, the ability to do smoking. You can do hot and fast. You can do direct heat. I've got the grill grates for it. I also have the accessory that they have that makes it into like a flat top griddle, flat top accessory that they have. So the PK360 is not really part of my regular cooking rotation in my backyard. It's kind of my portable, what I use for portable cooking. Let's see. Jeff says, I have not added a portable to my collection yet. And Francisco says, I have a Smokey Joe. So Francisco, do you cook on your Smokey Joe often, or is it like you have it, but do you use it? If you have to cook away from home, do you cook with your Smokey Joe? And if so, how's the capacity? Do you feel like it gives you enough capacity? I think I look at mine, and that's why another reason why I opt for my PK is that I just feel like I'm going to need a little bit more cooking space. Paul has a small Japanese style grill that has a small footprint and designed for direct heat cooking. Still need to try it out. Been having too much fun with my kettle. Yeah, and Paul, if I'm not mistaken, Paul has the 26-inch kettle, which if I ever see one of those, secondhand or something, I'm definitely going to scoop that up. Would love to have a 26-inch. Okay, Francisco. So Francisco's kind of like me. So he's got the Smokey Joe, but honestly, yeah, he's not really using it. Yeah, I completely understand. Okay. Let's see. All right, next up, I've got some more tips for you guys. Let's get into travel checklist. So if you're gonna be cooking while traveling, so these are some things to make sure that you think about and have on hand. Okay, so you want to make sure that you've got the right fuel, obviously. So depending on what you're cooking, it could be charcoal, could be pellets, propane. Make sure you have the necessary fuel with you. Make sure you've got a thermometer, especially an instant read thermometer. The wireless, those are nice to have. But that might fail you, while you're away from home somewhere. The internet might be spotty. Bluetooth, all that might be unreliable. So make sure you take an instant read thermometer with you. Also have foil trays or disposable pans. So those are also important. Have some gloves, tongs, And have a small cutting board. I think that's one that a lot of folks might forget about. And this will really make things a lot easier if you can do as much prep work or pre-seasoning, pre-marinating of your meats in advance. So have a cooler and have those already, cooled and prepared. I think that will make a big, big difference. Okay. Correctional officer says Old Smoky grills are perfect for being portable. They have a 14-inch grill. He usually cooks on the 22-inch Old Smoky, and it always does a nice job. All right, thanks for adding that tidbit as well. All right, so now we've talked about, some grills that you might consider. We've talked about like a nice checklist of things to have with you. Now let's get into some travel-friendly barbecue recipes, or at least, things to consider. So I'm not going to give you like detailed like recipe step by step, but just some things to think about. So if you really want some ribs while you're out there, maybe you don't necessarily want to smoke them from start to finish, but maybe you've got some pre-smoked ribs, and then what you could do is you could reheat them on the fly while you're out and about, and that will take a lot less time. So that's something to consider. Also, chicken thighs with dry rub. I think that's always a crowd favorite, pretty easy to do, and chicken super versatile in terms of the different rubs and things like that can go well with it. And then we also have to think about the ladies. They're not necessarily as big carnivore eaters as us guys, but think about veggie skewers and grilled corn. So think about that as well. Okay. Now, one of the last things I want you to think about, some pro tips. So scout your location when you get there. Look for, if you can, find a flat surface, someplace maybe with some shade to make it easier on yourself. Last week we were talking about ways to beat the heat or, keep yourself safe and okay, when it's super hot. So think about, a shade area. And then also think about what the wind conditions are as well. And then you need to have a fire starter. Maybe make sure you bring a backup starter as well. So it could be a lighter or, maybe a fire starter, maybe a torch. That's probably what I would bring with me, something portable, easy, quick to ignite. And then we got to be respectful. Respect whatever, if there are local fire bans, be respectful of that. And then also, be a good citizen. Respect whatever the cleanup rules are, don't be messy. And this is huge. Safety first. So especially if you're out somewhere, maybe not as familiar surroundings, conditions can be different. Safety first. Don't leave your cook unattended. So stay nearby, from start to finish, and make sure that you keep it and everything else safe. All right. One more reminder. If you're trying to get better, leveling up your barbecue, you don't have to go at it alone. Not anymore. Join the new relaunched Backyard SmokeMaster Society. If you've got a phone nearby, you can scan that QR code and join. It is 100% completely free to join. And we keep the conversation going on topics like this. and anything else that you want to talk about barbecue related. If I don't have the answers, there's always someone in the community who does. And you can do that again by scanning the QR code, or you can go to backyardsmokemaster.com/society, and you can get in. It'll only take you a couple of minutes to sign up. We're on a new platform that can be utilized both on your computer or with an app. And that app is available for both iOS as well as Android phone. So I hope to see you in the Backyard SmokeMaster Society barbecue community. All right. Let's see. So let me see. Do we have any more comments before we think about wrapping this up? Great discussion. Love the additional suggestions that you guys had. As correctional officer said, that kebabs are an absolute must. All right, so as we get ready to adjourn for this Friday evening, if you have any other thoughts, there's something that we didn't cover, you can still put them in the comments. We'd love to hear about it, or reach out to me on social media if you have a question that we didn't get to. We'll try to answer it. But even better, get into the Backyard SmokeMaster Society, and that'll be the best way, to get your questions answered, your comments heard. All right, our next live show, we're taking a week off, going to be doing some family stuff next Friday, but we'll be back in 2 weeks on Friday, August 1st at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Thanks again. I appreciate you all for tuning in to the Backyard SmokeMaster BBQ Podcast. Tell a friend about it. If you got a friend, a family member that loves barbecue as much as you do, tell them about the podcast. We're here just about every Friday talking about different topics. And even if you can't catch us live, you can watch the replay on YouTube, or you can listen on demand on your favorite podcast player. So again, this is Kenyatta Robinson. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Have a great weekend. Get out there and smoke something, and I will see you soon.